sees their purpose going forward, and he's determined to make sure that the purpose does not come to pass. Sanballat represents in a symbolic way every antagonistic force that comes against you when you're on the move. He represents symbolically the spirit of antagonism that messes with you when you're trying to walk in the purpose of God. He is the person who is positioned in your life to speak negativity against the destiny that God has put in your life. He is the person in your life that represents all of your haters, because some people can't handle it when your life is on the move. Now here's where I tripped. For while I understand that the Jews and the Samaritans had bad blood, I understand that they had cultural disdain for one another, Sanballat has taken this rift and this antagonism to another level. For the Bible declares that he was wroth. He was furious. The Hebrew word is ravah. One version says that he was indignant. He is angry. He is ticked off. And I'm trying to figure out that if he is that furious, if he's that indignant, if he is that angry, what did Nehemiah do to Sanballat to make the brother so mad? And so I started looking, and I looked everywhere, brothers and sisters. I looked through all of Nehemiah. I read through some historical accounts, and I couldn't find anywhere where Nehemiah had done anything to Sanballat. I couldn't find anywhere where he had done anything that would cause Sanballat to hate him like that. I looked everywhere, and I couldn't find any cause for this level of hatred, this level of revulsion, this level of disgust from Sanballat. Nowhere did I find where Nehemiah had asked him for money and didn't pay it back. Nowhere did I find where he asked him for help and assistance and then turned his back on him. Nowhere did I find where Nehemiah had talked about him or dogged him out or lied on him or dated his woman or backstabbed him or even looked at him the wrong way. I couldn't find anywhere where Nehemiah had done anything to Sanballat. So the only thing I could see is that Sanballat was tripping. He was infurious. He was incensed and outraged just because Nehemiah was who he was. Some of y'all didn't get that. Some of y'all will get that when you get back home. Has it ever tripped you out how there are some who don't like you and can't stand you just because you're you? Do I have anybody in the building? Doesn't it trip you out how there are some who don't like you and they have never even held a conversation with you? Doesn't it amaze you to hear a conversation of what somebody said about you and you say, I don't even know who they are? May I make a suggestion here today? Stop trying to figure out why others don't like you, why they hate on you, why they lie on you, why they disgrace your name and your character. Quit trying to figure out why others plan your demise and scheme against your purpose. Let me tell you what it is. It's the anointing, it's the call, it's the purpose, it's the aim and the objective that God has placed on you, in you, and around you. You better understand here, it's a spiritual warfare, and there are some who are so immature and insecure that they cannot handle the anointing that is on your life and everything that God is doing as a result of that anointing. You find yourself around some people that every now and then you say to yourself, I wonder why she doesn't like me. I wonder why he doesn't like me. I don't even know her name. All I did was wave when I saw her. I never said anything to her, but they just don't like me. I don't know why they are sucking their teeth at me. I walk by them and they roll their eyes. I don't even know who she is. I see him in church me with his arms folded, like if his eyes were guns, they would shoot me right dead in the head. I don't know why. You just don't know what they have against you. Can I talk to you today? My sisters and brothers, understand that some don't like you because when they see you, watch this real time. When they see you, you remind them of everything they wish they could be. See, and some folk don't like me in here now. And they don't like me because they really don't like themselves. And so they practice what is called psychological projection. Because they've got to project onto you the self-hatred that they feel about themselves. And they wish they could have what you have, but because they didn't take the commitment to get what you got, they can't have what you have. Because if you can't take what I took, you're not qualified or authorized to have what I have. Anybody in this house who can say, I didn't get where I am because I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Everybody knew who I was. It took sweat, it took blood, it took tears, it took sleepless nights, it took work to get to where I am. And the reason I'm not going to be ashamed of where I am and what I have and where the Lord has brought me is because I know what I had to do to get to where I am. I know what I had to go through to get to where I am. So what? You don't like me because of my anointing. Because my anointing uncovers and exposes your mediocrity. Sorry I'm preaching like this. See, some don't like you because your purpose, your assignment is manifesting a spirit of excellence. And because they are living in mediocrity outside of their purpose, they get mad at you because you've got a spirit of excellence. So when you walk into the room, it reminds them that they are not doing anything with their life at all. And so when you walk in the room, they want you to be like them, but you refuse to be mediocre. You refuse to live in the status quo. You refuse to go along just to get along. And so when you show up, they want you to be satisfied in marginality, but you refuse to settle for less than what God has promised you. Can I talk to you today? So it hit me. Why Sanballat was so mad. For you know history, Sanballat and his boys had remained in Palestine during the period of the exile. When Judah went into Babylonian and Assyrian captivity, Sanballat and his boys stayed in Judah and took over Judah. And so for decades, Sanballat and his boys had lived in cultural, political, and spiritual prominence. They had come into prominence. The Babylonians had taken over Judah, and the Babylonians had created a political, cultural, and spiritual utopia for Sanballat and his crew. And so as a result, over the years, Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem had come to dominate the region. And so when Nehemiah comes back, Nehemiah becomes a threat to their importance. He becomes a threat to their significance. He becomes a threat to their weight. And whenever you decide to make an impact, and whenever you decide to make change, there will be those who've been important that will resent you if their importance has been the definition of their worth. You see, people who need to be important, who need to feel important, are people who won't like it when you make a significant impact. People who need position to feel valuable will always be threatened by you when your anointing shows up. Because you ought not be in a position to feel valuable. You ought not need to just be in a position just because you need to be in a position.